Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for a squat and deadlift day, but a quick reminder for those of you who watch these videos. Please remember to click like down below, it'd be greatly appreciated. Alright, I haven't gotten under a straight bar lately, and I feel like just getting used to the straight bar on my back again is a bit of a limit. So I ramped up to a training max with it today, got up to 465, and I already knew when I got to it that that's where I was going to quit no matter how it felt. I'll start bringing the training maxes up and just start working the straight bar a lot more. But I just need practice with it again, right? I just need practice with it again, and it should be up there pretty quickly. And I know what I've been capable of at my biggest and strongest on a squat. You guys have seen me a couple of years ago crack 600. Now, granted, it was a little high, but I hit 3 lifts that were 600 plus. Now, they would not have made depth, and that's kind of a big deal here. So I've got to be practicing hitting depth all the time now. Work this training maxes up past 500. And yeah, that one looked easy, and it was easy, but just getting the bar in a comfortable position. Now, the upside with what I'm doing, my shoulders feel great, and so I can get under a bar a little better. You guys notice I do struggle with mobility to really get the bar set where I would like it. Due to some shoulder limitations and mobility, but I don't hurt. So that's the most important part. There's no pain in the shoulders, I just don't have the range of motion that I would like. So afterwards, we built up to a deadlift. I got up to 585 training max, and I like 585 for training maxes. I know people are like, didn't you just pull 615 a couple weeks ago? I did. But these are going to be training maxes. And I think I'm just going to rotate in and just do my classic lifts are very close variations of the classic lifts for a little bit. We can change grips, foot spacing, a little bit of stuff around, change bars maybe, just for the conjugate type benefits. But I think I just need a little bit of time hitting heavy singles on my classic lifts again, finding the weak links and building them. Now, interestingly enough, my weak links were on that squat, my quads. Okay? I could tell on the ramp up, even with the 415 you saw first. For people who are curious where I'm getting that number, that's a 55-pound bar. That is a Texas squat bar made by Texas Power Bars. So it's an official competition bar. It weighs 55 pounds. So in case you're like, why did that look like 405? It was 415. So I know that I need quads. More quads for the squatting. My posterior chain is crazy strong right now. And I can tell even on deadlifts, like even when I do a 585 training max, or when I pulled the 615 the other day, where do you guys think I felt the work limiting it? Nothing to do with my lower body. I felt it in my lats. I felt it in my middle back. So one of the reasons I'm going to be doing back work all 4 days now. And I have us torn between doing the pull-ups and the rows, and I think I need to be doing rows on my squat and deadlift days. So people would say, why? Because then all of my axial loading can be done on these days. Okay? And as you guys can see there, posterior chain is not limiting me. Look at my hamstrings. Hamstrings, glutes, all of that is good to go. I need more quad, more adductor for the squats. All right, to get my squat back well up into the deep 500s, I'm going to have to add meat back to my quads. My quads are smaller than they used to be. And a lot of it, I think, is because I used the belt squat exclusively for a while holding on to it. Well, if we're holding on to it, what happens at the bottom? We lose mechanical tension at the bottom, which is the lengthened position. That's where the quads are going to receive the most growth benefit. All right, that's not good. And I paid a price for it, because it felt easier to do, and it felt more comfortable, and I could just add more weight and hold on to it. It would be fine. No, it resulted in my quads being the smallest they've been in years. I can see the difference in the videos. I can tell the difference in how they feel. I can tell the difference when I put clothes on. All right, my quads, when I was squatting high fives up to about 600 with that cambered bar, my quads were a lot bigger. Like I could touch them until they were bigger. Like they look like nothing now. And accordingly, here I am hitting squats in the high 400s. Well, we have to bring them back up. My deadlift is strong, and my deadlift is strong because my posterior chain is so strong that now my back is limiting it. So we're going to do rows and pull-ups. I need to get good at both to alleviate that. We're going to do a little more work on that in a lot of other areas. But still for today, we did 4 sets on the wide stance belt squat, and I stopped at 4 because the 4th set, the quad and my abductors were pumping so hard that I didn't know if I could do another set. Okay, they were pumped, they were burning, and I'm like, okay, this was a fight. It was a fight. And I definitely need the adductors growing because I know that the wider stance squats are what I need to do. I'd like to get a little wider than I did on that. Now from the side it might look like it was narrow, but that was a real wide stance squat. It was probably about as wide as these belt squats, maybe a hair wider. I need to get out a couple more inches. That's where we're going to get the best maxes, even though I'm good at high bar squatting. But if I'm still good at high bar squatting, it means that we need more adductor also, because it shouldn't be able to compete with the wide stance, just biomechanically. So again, those wide stance and deep belt squats will give my quads and adductors. I do need to continue to work the hamstrings and the posterior chain, but I feel like I'm in a position now to where, as long as I'm hitting the heavy deadlifts and I stay on top of these glute ham raises and the reverse hyperextensions, my posterior chain will get all the work it needs for the deadlift and the squat. And then doing the rows also, again, helps with the isometric part of that with the whole posterior chain. And it does help you to get better at the deadlift. But I feel like for me, deadlifting now is going to be a matter of really upper body. It's going to be my whole mid-back, upper back, but mid-back more, grip training, all that. So I really need all this extra pulling at this point. And again, it will also probably help with my bench for better stability. And plus all this upper back work will hopefully give me a better shelf again to get more secure with that straight bar to set it on. The more meat you have up top, the more stable you can usually get your back squat, with a standard power bar. And so then we finished up after that with our reverse hyperextensions, which again, I'm a big fan of these, and I just run these at 50% squat max. Since I hit 496 at my last meet, which is the state record for my master's class, I'm just plugging it in as 500 when I'm programming these, and I'm doing 5x12 and trying to get the longest range of motion possible at the top and trying to control it the best that I can instead of just going ham on this like I used to and just stack tons and tons of weight on it. Although there may be a point where I go back to that approach because I was pretty dang strong when I was doing it. I just don't know if it actually does anything more than staying stricter with a lighter weight, right? So that's the real question. But again, looking at where my deadlift is, and I've always felt that this movement built my deadlift a lot. When we look at the weights I'm lifting on the deadlift versus this, I'm just as strong on the deadlift as when I was doing 600 pounds with less control versus this 250. So again, might be the case that we just simply don't need to load this thing up that heavy. Even though I like doing it, it's also a pain in the butt to load and unload it. It's because it's not like a bar where you just load it up, stand on the side. You have to get down under there and put the plates on. It's a lot of work. But overall, pretty happy with today's work. But that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.